Hello viewers, welcome to my show Bola Kotha from LB24 Midlands. I hope you enjoyed my previous episodes. If you didn't, please watch on demand. Today, I have a very well-known guest. She is a cabinet member, a community activist, and a councillor. She is an icon of Midlands. Let me introduce you to her. Her name is Syeda Khatun. Hello Amina, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, yes, I'm doing well.
Syeda, I'm so honored to be talking to you today. And first of all, I would like to ask you some questions, and my viewers would like to know. And I'm sure that you have a lot to tell us today.
Yes, that should be fine. You can ask me what you want.
Okay. First of all, I would like to ask you, you were born in East Pakistan, and do you have any memories from your childhood?
I was born in 1969, and that was part of, it was East Pakistan then, but now in Bangladesh now. Childhood memories, I do have some. I came here when I was about 6 years old, but I still have some memories of Bangladesh, yes.
Can you share a little bit with us? Like, do you remember how it was and how?
And you're talking about before I came to England?
England, yes.
What I remember is our village. I remember the pond where we used to go and swim. And I remember my grandmother very well because we left our grandmother behind. And I remembered her for a very, very long time. It was difficult to forget.
So what age did you actually come to the UK?
When I was 6 years old.
Wow. So still you remember a lot?
I do, yes.
Okay. So the other thing I would like to know that, you got married at a very early age. When I actually saw you got married at the age of 15, I confused myself. I said, well, is this figure right? Or somebody typed it wrong, 16 or 15. Is that correct that you got married at the age of 15?
Yeah, it is correct. When I came here when I was 6 years old, and then I went to the local schools, so I went to infant school, junior schools, then I went to a high school. And at the age of 15, my parents wanted to take me back home to get married in Bangladesh to my cousin. It was an arranged marriage. At that time, I still wanted to do my GCSEs, but they said I should be getting married and education wasn't important. That was my parents' view. That was 1984, and I did get married, and then I came back to the UK.
So how you felt at that time? Do you felt that it was the right decision for you to get married?
Mm-hmm. At that time, well, I still feel it wasn't the right decision at the time. I'm still married to the same person, and I'm happy with my marriage. But I still feel that I should have done my at least finish education,
secondary education,
stuff like that, and go to college if I get the opportunity at least to go to college and study a bit further. That's what I wanted to do at that time. People have ambitions, and I did have ambitions to study. That wasn't fulfilled, but it didn't stop me moving on, if you like. So, you couldn't do something, it doesn't stop you, you just go and do something else.
Right. Then, after your marriage, how long did you actually stay back? You said you got married back home. Did you straight to come back to UK? And
yeah, after I got married, I stayed, well, I got married in December. I stayed till about July. I came back to England in July. And then I had to I was pregnant as well straight away. So I was expecting my first child. And obviously, if I came any later, the aeroplane wouldn't bring me. You couldn't fly if you're like 9 months pregnant. So I had to come back and get myself a job as well to sponsor my husband to the UK. So that became my priority at that time.
Was it very hard to get a job then, and especially with a child? Was it hard? Did you actually had any support like childcare, or like did your family support you to look after your child to get a job and sponsor your husband?
It was very difficult for me to get a job. I was 16, I had a child, I had no education, well, no secondary education, you know, so it was difficult. It took me a long time before I got into employment, over a year before I got a job anyway, so I was looking for a year. I did a lot of volunteer work though. And I think that helped me in the long term to secure my first job, which was in a community advice centre. And in those days, it was the Manpower Service Commission that used to fund the advice projects and community projects. And that was my first job as an advice worker.
So after how long your husband actually came and joined you in the UK?
Okay, we're talking about the 80s, and in 1980s it was very difficult for women to sponsor husbands. The husbands could bring their wives quicker, they could get married and their wives came within about a year or two. But with women it was difficult. They used to have this rule. They used to say, they used to put it, the immigration officer would say the primary purpose rule. And the primary purpose, if a husband married, why did he marry you? Why would a husband want to leave his family and come to the UK? And that was used a lot in a lot of the female cases. And that stopped people. And people waited 5-6 years. But my husband, it took me 2 years anyway.
Was it an arranged marriage?
It was an arranged marriage, yes.
Okay. So you actually fall in love with your husband after he came to UK?
Okay, that's a personal question. Obviously, yes, I am married to him and we have a very understanding marriage. And, you know, obviously we'd miss each other now.
Well, the bonding actually grew slowly.
Yeah. And in traditional marriages, that's how it works. You don't know the person before. He was my cousin, but I hadn't met him, don't forget, for like since I came to UK. And when I went back, it's the first time I met him was just before the wedding.
After 1 decade, you met him. Yes. So how are the things then and there now? Do you think the girls should get married at the age of 15?
Nowadays, it's against the law anyway. You can't get married until you're at least 18. And in this country, 16 with parental consent. So, yeah, it is against the law. And I don't think they should get married that young. But I still think that girls should get married a bit young, because some people are waiting till their 30s and things. And I think, from that's personal perspective, that is a bit too old for my sort of understanding anyway.
So you feel the girls should get married at least at very early age, but not limited to...
I'd say about 22 to 25 is my sort of perspective now. Okay. You know, and that's again my opinion. I wouldn't say that's everybody's opinion, and everybody is entitled to their own anyway.
Well, I mean, actually, we have talked a lot about your personal life. You're married, your children. How many children do you have?
I have 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls.
Can you actually tell us a little bit about them? What do they do?
Okay, my oldest son, he's 32 now, and he's married. I have 2 grandchildren from my son.
You don't actually look like your grandma. You're still quite young.
Okay. Well, I still feel young at heart, yes. Everybody is young.
I'm sure you appreciate it when your parents actually got you married back home at so early age. So you became a grandmother at the early age as well.
Yeah, I do appreciate life now, because I was able to have my children at a young age. And they've grown up now. My youngest is 22. So now, in terms of children, they've grown up. I do have 5 grandchildren, 2 from my son and 3 from my daughter. Obviously, you enjoy your grandchildren, but you can give them back. You don't have to have them 24/7.
I'm sure my viewers judging you wrong. They're probably thinking you are not a grandma. You are still a young lady. You do look like a young lady. Well, I'll go to your career now. So, what was your first job?
The first job, I worked in a community advice setting. So I was an advice worker, a benefits advice. And that's the kind of field that I still enjoy and do, because, you know, welfare advice and benefits has never, the need has always been there, and it is still here.
What year was it then when you actually first started your first job?
My first job paid, it was in 1987.
Long time.
Yeah, yeah, my paid job, and I've worked since then. I haven't stopped. When I've had my 4 children, I've had little bits of gap, but not long.
Longer.
The maximum I would take off was about 3 months. I didn't take my 9 months maternity or whatever you're entitled to. I just had 3 months off, and I went back to work because I enjoy working.
Okay. Was there a lot of hurdles? Like, did you actually struggle a lot with children's and full-time jobs?
It has been a struggle. You can't deny that. Your children and for females, having a career is childcare is a problem. And regardless of how well you're earning, childcare is very expensive, I would say. So even professional women, I would say childcare is the most expensive if you were to pay. But for people like myself, and I say many of our women, we're lucky we have family members. So my mom helped me a lot, and if it wasn't for my mother, I don't think I would have the life that I have today. Yes, if it wasn't for my mom.
You're very thankful to your
mom. My mom, she looked after all 4 of my children, and I say if she didn't, I don't think I could afford childcare, and nobody else would look after your children for those, long hours.
So we know today you are a councillor, you are a cabinet member as well. So like coming to this position, have you actually done a lot of community work, like involvement in the community, serving the community, developing the area? Did you actually get involved in those kind of work?
Yeah, to become a councillor, obviously, as I said, my first job in 1987, and I continued to work in the community. Side by side, I did a lot of voluntary work. So I set up the mother and toddler groups in Tipton. I set up youth clubs. I worked with the elderly community. I worked with the local, the mosques as well as, working with the wider community, not just Bangladeshi community. I worked with like tenants and residents associations, and this is the white indigenous community in those days, and worked with like Friends of Parks groups and Neighborhood Watch. So a lot of voluntary work to then get to the achievement, to the fact that in 1999, when there was a vacancy for a position, in the Labour position, I applied, and I was shortlisted, and then I was selected, and then I was elected in 99. So yeah, so from 87 to 99, I'd say, that's about 12 years of community work before I actually got elected as a councillor.
So you're the first lady in West Midland, Bengali, especially in the Bangladeshi community, to become a councillor. Did you get lots of response? Like, did you get lots of support from the local people, local community?
Okay. As I say, when I joined the Labour Party, I joined the Labour Party in I think I was 16 when I joined the Labour Party. And when I joined, it was Mr. Haq who asked me to join. He's also a councillor. He's a senior councillor to me. He was the first.
So from the age of 16?
Yes, I did join the Labour Party.
Wow.
And he encouraged me to join. I mean, my father or my husband don't have political backgrounds. They don't. They're not like into politics. And as Mr. Haq asked me, he says, you should join the party and you should do some work. And so I joined the Labour Party. I went to meetings. I leafleted for all the councillors every year. And in 99, when there was a vacancy, again, it was Mr. Haq who said to me, he says, you should consider standing. And I am grateful because he had his sons at the time, his daughter, and above all, he considered me. Sometimes people do they always get their sons or their daughters in first.
Yes.
And he didn't. He asked me, he said, you should go for it.
I'm sure you must have done a lot of hard
work. And after,
work
obviously, he supported me. I think a lot of the community gave him a lot of flack as well. They're saying, you picked a female. Didn't you see us men? There was a lot of men as well in the community. Why could you not ask a male member to become a councillor? Why did you ask her for? So there was a lot of flack for him as well, for taking the risks, if you like. It was, in those days, it was a risk, but nowadays, there's so much more support for women. I think family members are supporting women as well, and I think, the community also do respect that female becoming a councillor and things like that. They want women in more, prominent positions.
Right, okay. So what about the recognitions? You were given MBE. What year was that then?
I got an MBA in 2004.
2004. Is it for the serving the community?
Yeah, it was for serving the service to the local community, the voluntary sector, and my voluntary work.
So at the same time, Bangladeshi League actually invited to give you an award as well. So what do you feel? Did Bangladeshi League felt that the women in our community, we should actually need to tell her that she's done a lot of work for the community. So this award, can you actually tell us a little bit about the Bangladeshi League award?
I got an award for, again, service to the community and the recognition as a Bangladeshi female. I'm really honored and grateful for those awards. I would still continue doing anything regardless of any awards I am given. But having an award is also prestigious, and you have to respect that. If somebody's actually put you forward, they must think something of you as well. So it's great to be recognized. I think it does make you feel, a bit prouder for the work you do, to be recognized, in a way. But as I say, even if I wasn't, that wouldn't stop me doing what I do. So.
Right. And how about you actually organize events? How inspiring this to our community? Like you do Love Your Neighbors, those kind of events. Do you actually have lots of support and response from the community and the other backgrounds? How do you bring that to?
Okay, the reason I got involved in doing events, well, part of some of the events were just natural, because if you have youth clubs and after school clubs and things like that, you want to organize events. And many years ago, I used to do a lot of events, and we used to celebrate the 21st of February, the 16th December, and we used to get children saying poetry and sing and get people doing drama and things to remember those days. That was years ago, and then I realized obviously that was just my own culture, and it was just Bangladeshi culture, and there's a lot of community out there that we should work with, and they should also understand. So we started doing sort of multi-faith events, multicultural events where other communities were invited. So we had sports, and some of those sports were like from back home as well. Some of the sports like Haribanga, get a blindfold and get clay pots and break the pots, and then the kids that we used to hang sweets along wires, the cloth wires, and the kids have to like jump and try and get the sweets off there. That kind of competition as well, to show that we do have different kind of sports. It's just cultural sports. And then after that, obviously Tipton has in Tipton there is history, as you know. The BNP has prevalent, to try to divide the communities. BNP, National Front, EDL, that kind of membership is there. So therefore, what we try and do is try and break barriers, so community cohesion, and do intergeneration work where the young people and the older people are doing things together as well. And so that's the reason we thought about come dine with neighbors. One is to get isolated women out of their houses and meet other women, and cooking is a talent. We take naturally. Everybody thinks women should be able to cook, but you know what? That is a talent in itself as well, and cooking different dishes and from different nationalities. So what we did was we said we'll get different people from different communities, so Bangladeshi, Indian, Polish, European, English, Caribbean, get them in, and they will cook their national dishes. And then other people will learn and ask questions and try the food as well. And that was the reason for doing the Come Down with Neighbors, and then it became a competition. First it was just sharing food, then it was like, okay, we'll compete, we'll get some judges. And we pick judges like from backgrounds such as like...
That only happens in Tipton, or like, it's people being inspired? Have you actually heard any Birmingham people doing that?
I don't know, but we started it in Tipton, and I think this year we might come across the borders and invite people from Birmingham and other towns as well.
Would you like to tell our viewers today that, I think everybody should try, not just in Tipton, but in Birmingham as well?
Okay. Well, viewers, I'd like to say that you should try out these events. They are fun and they do bring people together. And it does break down barriers and you can share a lot. It's a lot of commonalities. And cooking and music and entertainment brings people together. And I think basically I would say to all viewers, if you can get involved, please do. Or if you know somebody else, get them involved. If you don't want to be, you can encourage somebody else or nominate somebody to get involved.
How about the message to the women out there watching your program right now? What message would you like to give? Because you are an inspiring woman, and if you like to say that all the women should come out and do the job, and like where you are today, that they can be there as well.
Yeah. I mean, for women, the message is, we have a lot to offer, and although we have a lot of challenges as well, if you come out, you can beat the challenges. And if you do come out, I think first you might think, oh, the family is not going to be able to support you. But once you're out doing something and the family actually see that you're actually achieving and doing something, they come behind you, they do support you. And my children, when they were younger, I suppose they thought, oh, my mom's always leaving us and we neglected or whatever. But now they're proud of me. So, in a way, at the end of the day, I think, the husband probably thought he was neglected, but I'm sure, also he's supportive as well. So you will get families, friends.
He's probably appreciating what
friends.
You are
they do come together and they will help you. So whatever you want to do, it doesn't have to be paid work. I mean, some people want to go and get paid work and they want to earn an extra income. But sometimes, some of the work, volunteer work, is so rewarding. And you can do so much. You can actually change people's lives. You can change your life. I think, if you can even give a few hours, please do give those few hours to run a club or, go to the fitness center, exercise and go with groups and have a walk or have a chat and, even a coffee morning, talking about your health problems, talking about, mental health and about children and about, the children's issues, antisocial behavior, whatever is that we share. If you share those, I think, definitely it would make life a lot better.
So what about the mainstream politics? Mm-hmm. So do you say you don't need to be highly qualified to become to join in the mainstream politics?
Yeah, I'm an example of no educational background. Yes. I'm definitely a live example. You don't need to be highly qualified. I think you've got to have, you've got to have the ambition and the push. And I think you've got to keep pushing yourself as well. Get out there and say, if you've got it in you, do it. And people will then see, they will see, talent. You don't need a certificate or a degree to show that. I think, what you've got to give is a lot more than just a written qualification.
Okay. We heard a lot about you and your career, your personal life. Do you have any hobbies and interests? Do you do anything apart from your job? And
I think my job and my life is my career and my interest, because a lot of it in the volunteer sector is the things that I enjoy. I do enjoy helping people. I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy making a difference, so I don't get time really to go and read or watch telly. But I do try and watch in between. You watch your soaps. You have to watch these programs, don't you? All the dramas and things like that. But in between, I'll record it and I'll quickly watch it. But, you've got your family, your grandchildren and friends, and you're busy. Every weekend, there's always something you can get involved with. So, yeah, that is my hobby, is just being involved in the community.
I wish I had a lot of time. I wish I had enough time to listen to you and your lovely stories. Today we have to finish our show, and thank you, Amina, for being with us today. It was my pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the channel for inviting me, Local Broadcast 24, for inviting me here, because I'm really glad to be here.
Okay, thank you for coming to LB24 and your time. Okay. Viewers, you have watched our program now, Bola Kotha, with our legendary lady, Syeda Khatun. I will see you next time with my next guest in my next episode.